Y'all ready to go? We good.
Yeah, let me share the watch party.
All right.
Yeah. It said it's approving. You got approved. You know you have to
Okay.
approve for us to share.
Yeah. Yeah, I go.
I don't see it on your page.
You don't see it?
See it on your page. Got it.
It's on there.
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 Hello, everyone. We back again. This Mississippi Vibes with Bert. I'm very excited on this Sunday. I have three lovely teachers, our unsung heroes in our community. Today, we just go talk about their work that they do on a day-to-day basis to make sure our kids, the world is educated. So I have my panel in. I have Miss Felicia Anderson, Mr. Jacob Russell, Mr.
Jukobie.
Jukobie Russell. I apologize for that, sir.
All right.
Dorian Webb. And we go have a discussion today with them about everything that's going on in the world, the school systems, them being the Black leaders of our community. So we go jump in. I'll let them introduce themselves. I will make sure I mute everybody so we can get started.
All right. Hello, how are you guys doing? My name is Felicia Anderson. I am a teacher in Shelby County Schools, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm going into my 16th year of teaching and just happy and elated to be able to be on this platform today. Looking forward to focuses on issues and topics that will benefit and strategize and uplift, motivate, and bring some sense of hope for our educational platform. Glad to be here.
Ms. Webb.
Hi, everyone. I am Dorian Webb. I am a 6th grade teacher for Shelby County Schools. I am also elated to be on the panel this evening and to just shed some light on some things that are going on in our education realm as well as our daily lives. Just thank you, Be True, and Tim Sherrod for allowing this to take place, and I'm excited to be a part.
Mr. Russell, Mr. Jukobie Russell.
Hello. As everyone else, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for allowing me to be on the panel. I am a 4th grade, currently lead teacher in Indianapolis, Indiana at Ignite Achievement Academy at the historic Elder Diggs School. I'm going into my 21st year in education, and I'll be happy to share the things that we go through as teachers, and especially as teachers of color.
Thank y'all. So, Mr. Russell, I'm gonna stay right here with you. With the pandemic and everything that's going on, how has that changed y'all lives as teachers and your students and parents? Can you speak on that for a second?
Well, for us, it's really been hard being away from the kids and knowing. In my district, excuse me, not district, but our school is 46218 is the zip code. It's one of per capita. It's the highest food desert in the country. It has some of the highest crime rates in the country per capita for that amount of space and that amount of people. And so a lot of times the kids, when they get to school, it is their safe haven. And so knowing that they don't have that, or that's consistent meal base, or just that interaction with their peers, it's been a little bit challenging and trying to work things out as they go as it pertains to home learning, whether or not we're doing paper packets or we're using internet platforms, which a lot of our kids don't have the capacity to use. So it's been really challenging to make sure that we keep in touch with them, and also not only just keeping in touch, but keep them up with their education and being motivated and their mental wellness. So that's been a real challenge. It's been interesting. We've been working really hard at our school, getting those things accomplished, but it's been very interesting, and not being able to go back into the school to, like, I had fish in a fish tank. So I think I had 10, and 5 of them survived by the time I was able to go back. So I know the kids are concerned about that. Things of that nature. It's just been making it really rough. But we've been fighting through it, and I think that we're going to be better for it. And we're learning a lot as we go, so that if this ever happens again, we'll be more prepared.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Webb, how has it been for you, and you as a teacher, and everything that's going on with this pandemic? It was thrust upon us. How has it changed, your teaching experience and with your students and everything?
To be honest, it has changed professionally, as far as professional development, learning new things, new ways to reach our students. That has helped. They brought in some different, I won't say platforms, but other instructional strategies for us to do with them, other things for them to do online. So that has helped. But honestly, I am a student teacher. I love hugs from my kids. I love to be around my students. I also like to be around my colleagues. That's what makes my day. To be able to laugh at the students, be able to talk to the students, to find out what's really going on in their lives. Because if you don't make that relationship, you don't really miss anything. And so I miss the relationships I have with my students. I miss the relationship within the building. You could be kindergarten, you could be 5th grade, you could be 7th or 8th grade. If I've had a relationship with you, that's what I miss. And so when I miss the relationship, I'm always concerned about your education. What are you doing at home? Are you staying out of trouble? Are you minding, your parents, things of that nature. So it has bothered me. I would rather be at the schoolhouse, honestly. When the pandemic started and they said that we had to be out longer, I wanted to be at the school. I wanted to be there to support and help my students. And so just kind of piggybacking off of Mr. Russell, we're in like a food desert as well. The area that my school is in, we're in a food desert. And being able to supply them with that extra breakfast, that extra snack, something like that at the end of the day, has always been beneficial to me, because my thing is somebody helped me. Somebody was there to support me. And so I believe in those relationships, and I hate that the school year had to end on the way it had to end, because we really need that. Like, just like they say that students need the teachers, we need the students as well. So.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
All right. Hello again. How the pandemic affected me. I look at it on a couple folds, because I'm a parent first and then an educator. So I looked at it. My biggest thing was balance. We all went into the unknown. We didn't know what was going on. It dropped on us. We thought we were just going out for spring break for a couple additional days, and then we were just sitting and waiting. And then as we were waiting at home, we were trying to implement various things. And our district is so large. I mean, it's one of the large, I think it's like the 3rd largest district in the United States. And it comes from a high inner city school district as well. So they could, we only had our hands tied that the district could do so much. And my only thing was, I wish they would have allowed the teachers to give more input on decision making, because we would have parents reaching out to me, and they were like, what are we gonna do, or this or that? And I'm like, I'm finding out the information as you all go. we'll look on TV or on social media. Oh, the district is putting classes online. And my thing is, I value my time. I value my students' time. And I always think that we should do things that's decent and in order, and that's going to benefit. You know, I get so tired of pony shows being put on. And sometimes, you know, yeah, the district levels are teaching lessons on the television, but are the kids really doing it? It looked good. It's like I say, the uncustodial parent on Facebook, showing these beautiful pictures about what the district is doing for the students, but the teachers have no input. So now I'm trying to help my parents, my students, connect to what the district is doing, and it still makes no sense. Then we're wasting money. You're pulling off packets, already packets that's on the computer. Already is a program, you know, that they're saying, well, just keep the kids on the computer, because that's what I was telling my parents, just keep your babies. If you have internet access at home, a laptop, the only thing we could tell you to do right now, get on iReady. I think it is a waste that the money that they were sending to do those packets. We know most of our kids are not on grade level. The packets that were printed off, they were on grade level. So it's not going to benefit them. We're wasting money. So we need to do, you know, that's why I wish they would have welcomed the teachers in on the decision making, which they never do. They never do. And I don't know if I can say that, but I think this is our platform, because it needs to be said. Welcome the educators, the ones that's in the classroom, those of us that's engaging our students. Because I didn't need the district to tell me to reach out to my students. I was doing that anyway. I didn't need my principal to tell me to find a Zoom. I was doing that anyway. I didn't need them to tell me to make a lesson. I was doing that anyway, because that's what I do. I engage my students. I love my students. And I know once they have this thing called education, nobody can take it from them. That's what we have to do. We hold them accountable. We bring them in, you know, so that's my thing. And balance as a parent, you know, that's another thing. Then when they start coming up with things, they wanted us to be, you know, available to do all of these, go through hula hoops. Okay, I'm trying to be a teacher, but I have my own children at home. I have 4 daughters, and I know I'm a servant. I'm a servant. I get it. But I can't, we have the same crisis going on in our homes. You understand? So just like they all stop, man, it was I ain't gonna say it was a mental thing, but we had to grasp, my God, what is going on? So we needed time to get, like, what's going on? Talk to our children, explain to my kids why we out of school, why can't we go see our grandmother? We're out of school, why can't we go here? Why can't we go there? You know, we had to allow us to be parents first. And that's the problem. The parents can't be parents, and they depend on teachers to do everything. We're the saviors. I take it. That's what I signed up for. But value our time and put us in the decision making. You know, that's all. I hope I didn't say too much, and I hope it makes sense.
You good, Ms. Anderson. I'm stick right there with you. Do you feel that the school system is prepared for the second wave of the pandemic that they are predicting? And how can we get more teachers involved with the decision making of what's going on, that the board is sending out packages, how the final decision is being made by the school board? How can we get teachers in line with the school boards? And do you feel that your school district will be prepared for the second wave of the pandemic that's supposedly coming?
Well, with that, I believe what I saw, the different things that they're saying according to the CDC, things that they will be put in place, I don't think is realistic. Some of the stuff that they're saying is not realistic. And, you know, you could put together these task form teams and everything. And I know everybody is trying to come up with the best thing, but it's okay. So in my mind, I said, okay, we're going to have to go to virtual learning. But then you can't hold everybody accountable because everyone doesn't have a laptop. Then if we issue out laptops to the students, how many are we issuing per household? Who's going to check it? Then we got to think about, okay, you're going to virtual learning. We have pre-K and kindergarten children that might not have older siblings, and parents have to go to work. who's going to assist with that? It's something to really, really think about. You know, it's more or less something to pray about, you know, and you know, the leaders are going to have to seek God on this. And I know we try to step away from that, but that's the only answer. You know, they're going to have to pray for discernment, wisdom, and accountability, because, you know, as a leader, you have to have some sense of integrity, morals, and values. And you got to think of things that's going to benefit everybody, not just a select few. And you can't have your reasoning behind something to be on an agenda. You know, we have to look at, you know, they keep saying that we're looking in the best interest of the children, but I think sometimes it just sounds good. You know, I think we need to really look into the best benefit of the children. And if they're on the computer, when we put them on a computer at school, are they really doing what they're supposed to? Now, in my class, I can't say what nobody else is doing. But like I told the parents, when they put them on the computer at home, you go make sure that they're doing it with fidelity. Tell your child, your son and daughter, to show their scores. Because as long as they're on a computer and they're putting anything, which our children tend to do, they're learning how to do it wrong. They're not being held accountable. You know, they have to be held accountable. And that's what the district does not do for our children. They do not hold them accountable. So,
Miss Webb, with the projection of the second wave that's coming, your district prepared, and how do you feel that as teachers, y'all can be more involved with the final decision making on the information that's being dispersed to, you know, the teachers, the students, and the parents?
I don't believe the district is just completely ready. I come from administrators and teachers that hustled. Administrators and teachers that if it was out there to do, or if it was kind of told that it's forthcoming, we're going to find out probably sooner than everybody else. So from what I've heard from different teachers in the district, some of them actually weren't doing anything. Some of them actually weren't reaching out to find out about the different things that were available for teachers to do. And so I credit that with saying that's where the relationship piece comes in. And again, having that relationship with your admin, having that relationship with your parents, having that relationship where they'll know what needs to happen. They'll know what needs to, you know, be done as far as a teacher or a student. Like Ms. Anderson said, true enough, our students, they don't get on the computer. Well, especially in my neighborhood, I know, well, the neighborhood I teach in, most of them do not have the resources available to be on the computer, and they'll use their phone. They can't do iReady on the phone. So with that being said, we've just got to find it a different way. Saying that we're going to get all these dollars for resources with all this pandemic stuff going on, with businesses, you know, being torn down, all of those things, we really have to think about that. Are we really going to be able to give 2 or 3 devices for a house? Are we really going to be able to supply a whole neighborhood with a whole computer lab that you can say, okay, this group gonna come in at this time? There are a lot of other things that we need to look at, and I don't think that we're ready for that piece. I do believe that strategically, they are actually trying to find out ways that we can go back to school, meaning that it may be a staggered entry. It may be where certain grades go in at a certain time on different days. Whatever works, I'm praying that they figure it out to get kids back in school. Because let's think about the underlying issue of them being at home. Mm-hmm. We know some other things are going on at home that shouldn't be going on. Like Mr. Russell said, the school is a safe haven. So we have to take into account all of those things. we sometimes are our students' first choice to tell anything to. And so with that being said, the powers that be, I believe that they'll be good at getting it together. But yes, with some teachers, they're not going to care about what they do. I'm going to be real with you. They're not going to care. But then there are teachers that are going to say, okay, look, put me in, coach. Let me know what I need to do so I can help the kids. Because my thing is, at the end of the day, they're giving us our job. They are giving us our job, and we have to figure out a way to get all teachers on board. Not just one, not just a community, get all teachers on board. And it starts now. I mean, it should have been started, but it starts now with getting everybody on the same page.
Mr. Russell,
Yes, sir.
what's your feeling on, the second wave? Is your district prepared, and how would y'all get connected and be more involved with the decision making on the materials and how to handle things within your district?
Well, fortunately, I'm not gonna say fortunately, but I do work for a charter school system, so we have we don't have a lot of bureaucracy as it pertains to entire school districts or superintendents and things of that nature. So that's a slight caveat for us. It could go both ways though, so don't let me miss the point of being involved as it pertains to teachers and educators in the building. I think that is probably the most crucial thing that a lot of people don't realize that are leading districts or schools across the country, is that your expert is your teacher. If you're going to make a change, you're going to do something for the kids, you might want to ask the teacher how that's going to affect the students and how that looks, because we are, there are people who have taught for maybe 10, 15 years, and now they're administrators or they lead school districts, but it's just like anything that's normal. What's happening currently inside of the classroom changes from year to year, sometimes from semester to semester, depending on the makeup of the children that you have. One child can change your whole dynamic in your classroom. Therefore, it may change the dynamic in your school in general. And keeping up with the educators who are on the front lines every day in the classroom and asking them, what is it? Not to say that they don't have the people who are leading don't have any clue, but saying, hey, these are our ideas. Can you work with us to make sure that it's fine-tuned for us? As it pertains to the second wave of the pandemic, I look at it, I have one child, and she's grown, well, not grown now, but she's 20. But I compare it, the second wave, to having your first child. I mean, we were fortunate, her mother and I were fortunate enough to have health insurance. We were fortunate enough to have family members who provided a lot of things for us as parents that our child was going to need. I was fortunate enough to be working and have a sustainable income. But you think you're prepared until you actually have to do it. Everything that I had did not prepare me for being a father. Everything that we put in place for resources and et cetera is not going to prepare us, I don't believe, for the second wave and what August looks like, because we have to actually jump in and do it. I think that what's important, and I'll reiterate, is that we all work together from the ground level up. I'd also like to add that school districts are going to have to be careful about egos and being financially responsible, especially for schools who have money that's already given for their total employee base, and not just cutting jobs because that person is not in the school every day, or is where you got your I'll just use a general term. I say teachers' assistants. Not that we have them anymore in the classroom, but the people who pull kids out or come in and push in and work with kids, and not saying that, okay, well, we don't need them anymore. The cafeteria staff, What happens if we start cutting cafeteria staff and then we figure out a way, somebody puts forth a plan where kids have the ability to come into the school and eat? Then we have to go find cafeteria staff again. And I don't think that a lot of people who can be laid off or fired or whatnot are going to be loyal if that's the way they're going to be treated in such a crucial time. If this was something that happened every 3 years, then we'd understand how to prepare for it and do things. But right now, I don't think it's possible to be completely prepared for a second wave and not going back in August, or if we do go back in August. And I think it was Ms. Anderson has said the CDC protocols they put in place is just unrealistic. I mean, a school, if you look at the true meaning of school, that means you have to be together. You travel together. You are close together. I mean, I have a fish tank behind me, and I have a lot of schoolers in that tank, and they travel around the tank together. Mm-hmm. It's unreasonable to think that, fourth, sixth graders, first graders, kindergartners are going to sit 6 feet apart with a plastic shield between them with a mask on for 8 hours a day. That's just unrealistic. Or even having a teacher to do that. I can't speak for every teacher in the country. I can speak for myself. And at the end of the day, I stink. Like I've been sweating because I'm animated with my teaching. I have to chase after a kid, or I got to break up a fight, or I have to sit on the hot playground and rotate through the playground and make sure everybody's playing safely. I just don't see that working. And then then they're talking about taking away things like, recess time. You can't take away energy. You can't take away exercise time. The two go hand in hand. Your mental and your physical go hand in hand. So I just don't see some of those things being really plausible. I think that they need to really take a step back and start asking district schools across the country, whether they be in districts, whether they be charter or private, put together some forums and see what's best. And we definitely don't have good leadership at the federal level to make these type of decisions. So we need to ask the experts, and those experts are in the classrooms. They're not in the office.
Mr. Russell, what you was just saying would help at the federal level. How much do you think racism plays a part in the decision that goes on especially with the inner city school district, and they're wanting to make sure that our kids, especially our African-American males and females, get the proper education? What's your thoughts on that?
I'll preface this by saying I thank God I work for a school that is very anti-ignorance, but very pro African-American. We do a lot of talk about things of this nature, so I will speak freely about that. We have an understanding, myself personally, that this country was built on the disadvantages of minority people, especially Black people. And they never wanted us to read. They don't want us to read now. And that is not something that went away. It just didn't go away because Barack Obama was president, a few years ago. It didn't just go away. The system is still in place for us to fail. It is even in our school systems, at our best, if we're not being innovative in the way that we teach our children about themselves, their history, in a truthful sense, we are actually making them worse, depending on what type of system you're in. So the system overall in America is not set up for us. It's not set up for us. It's actually set up against us. It's set up to make consumers and not producers. It's set up to make buyers and not owners. So it's very difficult to even have any sort of faith in our federal government that they are going to make proper decisions, especially for minority children, when they've never made proper decisions for minority people in general. So I'm wary of that. I'm thankful to work for a school that we receive a lot of private funding. It's not a private school, it's a public school, it's a public charter, but we receive a lot of private funding, and a lot of those private funders are interested and invested in minority education. And I think that when things settle and we do have to go back, or wherever we're going as far as the federal leadership, I think we'll have some work around that we'll be able to do if it doesn't work for our kids. So to, finalize to answer your question, I'm wary. I'm completely nervous about what they think they're going to put in place, because they don't have the smartest people in place that are running the education department, on up. And it's just, it's ridiculous to think that we should be depending on those minds that are in a system that is against us to be able to help us do what's best for us. We need to figure out what's best for ourselves.
Ms. Webb, can you elaborate on that?
I really don't have a lot to say back behind it. What I will say, just kind of piggybacking off of Mr. Russell, I did hear him say that within the school system, they're basically setting them up to fail. And when you're setting them up to fail, so those tests that they take and everything like that, they're on grade level. We're teaching to students that are 2 and 3 grade levels behind. I know I'm right, aren't I, Ms. Anderson?
You are correct. I can't wait to jump in.
And I mean, it's a lot. I don't really want to get into all of it, but I will say this. The federal dollars are for resources. We get so many resources every year. Are the resources being used like they should every year? Negative. And then you'll come in the next year, well, we brought a new program and we want you to do this and da-da-da-da. But what about this one that they did last year? They just started figuring it out. They just was doing Reading Horizons. They was just doing, Read Across something. They all of that.
They changed them so quick you can't keep up.
They were just doing all of these. They can't pick it up. Eureka, let's not even talk about Eureka. I can't stand it. You understand?
Yeah.
But I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to get into it. But I will say this. You give a student 3 parts of the test, right? 45 minutes to do Eureka problems. Somebody answer that for me. I have a 5-year-old. He's in a private school. They're clearly teaching him at 5 already the basis of Eureka. It's not Eureka, but they're teaching him the basis of Eureka right now. And when he gets in kindergarten, it'll be the same thing. But here's the thing. He's being taught at what grade level? Pre-K, kindergarten. You can't just jump in and give the federal dollars for these programs at 3rd and 4th grade when you've never introduced them before then. That's just me.
Ms. Russell, I see you ready to go. I apologize. Ms. Anderson, I see you ready to go. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to start it out like this. There are 2 types of districts that get funded, right? You're either a high-performing district or a low-performing district. Mr. Russell said it. They've never wanted us to excel. I remember watching Roots, and when I think her name was Nellie, was sneaking teaching Kizzy how to read. And she asked her dad and uncle in this scene, and I use this illustration in my classroom all the time. He said, why don't we want them to know how to read? And they jumped up, because if we're teaching them to read, you're teaching them a thing. So today, in our school system, I was tripping out. Some of the people like, well, what if our kids fail because they're missing the last quarter? Let's be realistic. Just after testing, what does the 4th quarter mean? Nothing. You done prepared all year for the test, and the kids know that too. The test is over, you field tripping, you're throwing a little fun, extra credit, and those that's really engaging their students, they might be preparing them for things that's going to be going in next year. But the classroom teacher trying to close out as well, because we're trying to do as much because they put so much on us. So going back to what I said, 2 districts that get money, the high performing or the low performing. I work in a inner city district, right? And like this young lady, Miss Webb, said, they changing the programs. The expeditionary learning was a very rigorous resource for teaching our babies that's already evident. The test score shows that they are 2 and 3 years below grade level. And they want to say, well, put rigor, we got to open them up to this for the test. But you got to go back to basics. You got to go back to basic understanding, teaching these kids rote and repetition. It's not seat work. It's not busy work. It's a shame that I have 4th graders that don't know how to write on the lines of notebook paper. We need to go back when we were in school, when our teachers had the opportunity to say, hey, get your paper and head it correctly. We got to value education enough where something as simple as your handwriting matters. It's not busy work. It is keeping them engaging, because we keep putting stuff over their head and it's going over their head. We got to come down to their level and meet them where we are. Yes, all children can learn. Yes, but you have to meet them where they are. And we live in a system that's not preparing our children, because the children that already come from homes that's teaching them, that's reading around them fluently, those kids gonna make it whether we go back to school or not. It's kids that look like me, that need me in my classroom, being able to have some autonomy and roll my sleeves up so I can let them know, once you get this thing called education, nobody can take it from you. And we got to teach you how to read. We got to teach you how to think. So if they do throw Eureka math on us, we can understand. Nothing is wrong with Eureka math when we know the basic. 1 + 1 is 2. Nothing is wrong with expeditionary learning when we know how to read from understanding, from throwing in a close read and not reading it close up, but reading it several times where we understand it. So yes, it's set up for us to fail, but we have to rise above it. We have to beat them at their own game. We have to prove them wrong. Everything that they say we're not going to do, we're going to do it. We're not going to act the way that they say we're going to do it. You know, so it's a lot. It's a lot. And we only can change when we change. We can't change them. We have to change us. And we need more in the building that's saying that. And we don't need more in the building that's submitting themselves to becoming just going with the flow, just there for a check. Because it's because of us that our babies are going out of here misleading, not understanding different things, because they've been hurt first in the classroom. And you know, I know I'm going a different route, but I'm telling you, as our jobs as educators, we don't realize the influence that we have. We the reason that these kids grow up and have different ways how they feel about adults, you know, how they feel about respect, you know. And I know we go in with a lot of stuff on our shoulders, but we got to remember what we signed up for. You know, it's not an easy task. It's not an easy job, you know. So, yes.
Can I piggyback on Miss Anderson?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just asking Bert. Can I piggyback on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is y'all platform. I'm just here to listen and learn and make sure that, you know, we can reach out to a lot of people. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Rook.
A couple of things she said that I think that I wanted to highlight. And one real briefly is that I get parents ask me all the time, how come y'all not teaching cursive anymore? I'm like, we don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. We don't have time to teach cursive anymore. We don't have time to teach handwriting. Not that I don't believe we shouldn't be, but it's just like you guys been talking about Eureka. We use Eureka too, and it's so labor intensive. But one thing I wanted to highlight was the on level piece. And you know, I do work with most of my kids are behind. Even my best kids are just on level, and I only have a handful of those. I can count those on really less than one hand. And I think what confuses me, and I guess someone would have to explain this to me a little bit more, because it hasn't been explained to me thoroughly yet, so I understand or overstand it, is that how do you have a kid that's not on grade level, but you give them grade level work? How you expect them to understand it? And the thing that they don't realize is that when they say, well, you have to expose them to to the grade level work. You can expose me to jumping out of a plane. But if I don't have any formal training in it, I have no idea when to pull the parachute. I have no idea how to strap it on the right way. I mean, you can expose me to, a millionaire. When I get home, I'm not going to be a millionaire. So I think it's very important that we do, like Ms. Anderson said, meet kids where they are and then build them up. We need the school system has to change, because there's no way with the amount of time that we have in these classrooms. And like was mentioned earlier by both Ms. Webb and Ms. Anderson, is that when they get home, there's no accountability, and a lot of times they're not going to do the work anyway. So we are the only ones that has that chance to make sure they get on level. So we have to figure out a way to put kids, even if you got a fourth grade age student, which is, between 8 and 10, depending on, what school district you're in, what state you're in. Maybe they're in a class with a 12 or 13-year-old, because that 12 or 13-year-old has to learn the same things they have to learn. You can't teach long division if you don't know multiplication. So, and that's just kind of my thought process. I just want to piggyback on that. I echo what you said about that, Ms. Anderson.
Well, hold on, I apologize. I want to, when Mr. Anderson, I apologize, y'all. Mr. Russell. When we attended school, we had teachers who cared about us, our learning, our future. How do you handle, or how would you handle a fellow student, a fellow teacher, I apologize again, who is just there for a check or, they state benefits, that has really no desire to truly educate our kids? If you see that, if you recognize that, you notice that, it's in your gut, your heart, that you're dealing with a fellow teacher, how do you go by handling that?
That's a really difficult answer, because I don't know about Ms. Webb or Ms. Anderson, but I'm not ashamed to say or scared to say I have a high level of deliverables, a very high level of deliverables. And when you have, over the years I've been teaching anywhere from, 18 to 33 kids in a classroom, and with on top of deliverables that never seem to end, it's difficult to be able to support a teacher who is there. That's where, for me, you have to put that back on the administrator. The administrators have to be in the classrooms more often and not there to penalize or be punitive or like, I gotcha, or anything of that nature, but to be there to get to know their staff. I mean, you have to be seasoned enough. You have to be able to have an open forum, a safe space for a teacher to say, hey, Miss Smith I'm telling you, Miss Smith, she's just in there yelling all the time. She's not teaching. Only thing she does is, when people come around, then she acts like something's going on. And that administrator should be able to keep a closer eye on that teacher. But a lot of times you don't have that safe space. That Miss Smith could be best buddies with the vice principal, or she could be best buddies with, whoever's leading the school. And that could cost you your job. So depending on where you're at. So it's really difficult. And that's where I put the ball back into the administrator's court and say, hey, you have to be more active inside of the classrooms. That doesn't mean just walking in. That means spending some time, getting to know your teachers. You can tell the difference between, in my opinion, and I've been in the game a long time now, you can tell the difference between a teacher who has great classroom management skills and who's there to love the kids versus those who don't. It's not, to me, it's not that hard to see. If they come out into the hallway, you can tell by the way they talk to the children. You can tell by the look on their face. You can tell, by how their kids respond to them. Is this a teacher who has 25 kids in their class, but 8 of them spend, almost every day in some form of discipline program outside of the classroom? So you have to start looking at things like that as an administrator to be able to say that this teacher is here just getting a check. because they're kicking kids out without trying to give them that love, without trying to restore them once they come back into the classroom, or even have restoration inside the classroom before they send them out. One of the things that I think is very important is that administrators take time to recognize that and not just fill bodies or put warm bodies inside of classrooms just to be able to say, hey, I got a certified teacher here, or I got somebody here to hold these kids down for the rest of the day. So I think it's very important for administrators to take on that lead. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right, but that's just my opinion. I don't really have time to, teach someone else's class or try to get someone else to care about what they're doing. That's an administrative job, in my opinion.
Ms. Webb, how you handling a fellow teacher who was just there for a check or, the state benefits?
Well, Mr. Russell hit on a lot of good things. I'm sure Ms. Anderson has heard the phrase hard work. Because they say it a lot in our district. Hard work. I kind of got to go a different way from Mr. Russell, and I will say that because I've always been one to help other colleagues. I've always been one to kind of step in, and if I see that you having issues, because my thing is, it may not be that you really don't want to be there. It may be that you have not been successfully trying. Think about schools that deal with a lot of vacancies. Teacher come in the middle of the school year. Teacher don't really know what is going on as far as the students go. So they're having a lot of issues. They really want to teach. They really want to be there. Who's going to be that advocate? Who's going to be that person that's going to step in and help them? Now, true enough, I will agree with you, Mr. Russell. The admin does have to have some type of push in with that. But if I'm your colleague and I'm on your hall, if I'm on your team, I'm going to see what you need. And if I can help you in that regard, I'm going to help you. If you need to send me 1 or 2 kids out of the classroom because you're having some issues with relaying the lesson, then that's what I'm going to do. I have a big heart, and I also have a big heart for students. So I understand where some of them are feeling a certain way. Now, I don't agree with the disrespect, which is something that I know my school has dealt with a lot of. I don't agree with the disrespect of teachers, but I will say that I will step in and support. If you got a student that you need to handle, or you cannot handle, send them to me. I feel like I can handle them for that time that they're in my classroom or whatever. But long story short, I feel like I can in certain instances, but if at the point where I know that there's only so much I can do. If I feel like you've gotten to the point where, oh, these kids are this, or, oh, the admin ain't supporting me, or if you're constantly being that negative Nancy or that negative Nell, whoever, if that's what you're being, then that's when I need to be like, okay, I'll step back, because I don't want that pushing over to me. Now, I'll be there to support. I'll be there to do whatever I can, but the passion for educating not only students, but helping your colleagues is where I'm at. Because my thing is, I don't want you to just say, okay, I'm filling another spot. No, I don't want that. Why are you filling another spot? If you just fill another spot, let me help this person not just be the spot. Let me help this person be all that they can be. Because my thing is, at the end of the day, as teachers, we still need somebody that's going to support us. That's just me. We still need somebody that's going to support us, because at the end of the day, admin is going to do what they have to do. And as teachers, we have to stand beside each other and help each other, because, say, for instance, Mr. Russell, you on my team, and you come in, you got a bad headache, kids on your nerve, something happened at home. You may need a moment, right? You may need a moment. So guess what? Mr. Russell, I got you. Send them over here, or bring all of them into my class for a second. But my thing is, we don't have that in as many schools as we used to. We used to have collaboration. We used to have family, where people knew, I got your back, I got this. I'm gonna help you out till you get there. You need some documents, some paperwork that needs to be turned in on tomorrow. Let's work it out together. Let's be a team. Let's do it together. And so as adults, if we're not doing it, how can we expect the kids to do it? How can we expect the kids to constantly be on their best behavior or to collaborate and work together and everything like that. How can we expect that if we as adults are not doing it ourselves? And so that's where that lead by example comes from. Now, true enough, we're not perfect. We're not going to do it every day. But if we're leading by example, I think that passion will push out to our students, and it'll make the other teachers feel welcomed in their building. And that's just me, because I know I've come from a school and, again, an admin that supported me, that were there, and I appreciate them all the time. I still go back and talk to colleagues because that's who was there for me, and that's who pushed me and got me through to help students. So that's where I'm at on that.
I want to clarify just for real quick. My answer came from a perspective of teachers who don't care, not teachers who need help. I'm totally down to help any teacher, but if you don't care, you're just there filling a seat. I mean, I can't help that. But I do agree with everything you said, Ms. Webb.
Well, I'm gonna kind of push back, and I guess I probably kind of went forward with those who actually want to, but at the same time, even if they don't care, are you just going to put a blind ear to them?
Man, like I said, I'm open to listening to strategies, but if it's like trying to help someone who doesn't care about themselves. If you don't care about yourself, how can I help you? You know, you gonna bring me down trying to help you when you don't care enough about yourself. If you're just there collecting a check, there's really nothing. I don't feel like, I mean, I'm open to suggestions, but I don't really feel like there's anything I can do to inspire the love of teaching in someone. Some of us have it, some of us don't. I've seen people, and I won't call out any particular, I won't put a parameter around it, I'll put it that way, but I've seen a certain demographic of teachers who teach because they are married rich and they don't really have a sense of care about where they're at. I've seen them work in schools I've worked at and work with our children. They don't care about our children. And I don't see how to make someone care about what they're doing. If there's a way that I can say, hey, you know, I'm open to suggestion, but again, if you're drowning and you don't care that you're drowning and I give you my hand and you want to pull me in with you, that's just not something I'm willing to do. But I do agree with everything you said. I just don't know how to help those who don't want to help themselves. I can try to inspire you, but if you're only there just to collect the check, because that's a perspective I was answering from. If you're there just to collect the check, I don't know how to inspire you, because you never wanted to be a teacher. You just wanted a job.
I understand. I get the part where you're saying if they're pulling you in, and that's that negative where you don't even want to be a part of it. I get that. And I mean, and I totally agree with you. I don't want anybody that's going to constantly keep pulling me down. Now, like I said, I will lend my hand, but I guess it's more so, I would like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Even if I think they're not caring, I'm going to first try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And then that's at that point where I'm like, okay, look, if you constantly pulling me down, if there's nothing that I can say or do to inspire your day to help you make those kids better or help you improve their learning, then there's nothing else that I can do for you. So I totally agree with you on that.
Gotta want it, because it's not that difficult. If you have the desire, and I apologize, Miss Anderson, but if you have the desire, then I can help you with desire. You got it. I can help you, because like you said, some teachers ain't trained. They're just not trained correctly, and some teachers are thrown into the hardest classroom settings coming straight out of college, or they could be TFAs and they need all this extra support. I will support the heck out of you. But if you are there to I don't care about this, and you these kids this and those kids that has some negative connotations that go back in history, that I'm just like, well, you know, let me stay out of your way, because I'm not going to get pulled down into this fire or into this drowning water with you. So, Miss Anderson.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna start off answering the question on my own personal experience, because I've been in that situation probably since the beginning of my teaching career. When I signed up for education, I came out to advocate, to innovate our children, and to be in so many buildings. You have a breed of both. You got some that's like me. You got some that's like what both of y'all gave the example, the new teachers or the teacher that need their support. And then you got some that just don't care. And me, being an advocate for children, I take it personally. and I'm a protector of children. So I found myself over the years trying so hard to be a protector and providing extra for those kids, you know, putting on my superpower cape, superhero cape, so I can save the children. And it weighed on me, and it would bring me down. So over the last couple of years, I've had to change my mindset, because the thing is, we can't change them, we have to change ourselves. And what I came up with really within these last 2 years, that I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Like they tell us in the district, model, and it's a gradual release. I'm going to be the educator that I'm gonna do all I can. When the kids come in my classroom, I'm going to engage them. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to model awareness, and hopefully things that I'm doing will become contagious. Because sometimes it's some cancer cells in these buildings. You know, being a teacher, you're supposed to be selfless. And I work in a district where I see more selfish teachers than selfless. And it's hard. It makes it hard on those that's really pushing and advocating for the children. But then to make it not hard on myself, I'm going to continue to be selfless, and I'm going to model my engagement. I'm going to model coming in early, staying work, staying late, you know, coming on the weekends if I have to, being online, doing extra stuff. Even if one student get online, I'll offer my assistant when you want it. I'll offer it sometimes even if you don't want it, because the thing is, our focus should be on the children. They are our future. Yeah, it sounds cliche. It's a song, but they are. And I have to say, if I don't do my job, then I might make the person that could have been the next doctor, the lawyer, the astronaut, the scientist, the pilot, I might make them miss my destiny for focusing on what somebody else not doing. Now, I can't do it all by myself, but I'm going to do everything in my power to meet the needs of the children when they come before me, when they see me in the hall. And hopefully my interaction and my engagement with the children will make somebody say, maybe we need to do what she's doing. And it's hard to break those selfish people, because they're so selfish and they so worried about them that they found ways to make their data look like they're exemplifying educators. They don't, and I get mad when I look at your data and I know that you done looked at the test first and you teaching the test, and it looked like you this great teacher when I'm right next door. So you talk about getting the administrators in there. They don't want to go in that classroom because the data shows that the kids that they doing their job. No, they playing because they have learned how to teach the test. They didn't found a way to go into the CFA and get the common assessment, and we sit the good guys. You know, it's crazy to get good guys finish last, because we like, dang, I know them kids don't know this stuff. But they change the scores. They're not teaching, but their data makes them look like they're teaching. Then they get promoted. Now they over us. Man, it's a dog-eat-dog world out here. But you know what? We got to stay focused. We got to get a platform where we're not afraid to say what's going on. And we have to be the change. We have to be consistent. We come to work sick and still trying to engage our children, and they'll miss. You know, but guess what? We know when we see those children later on Facebook and they done moved in these professions, when you say, man, I feel like I had my hand because I told them you can do it. I let them, they came to me when they were hurting. Because sometimes it's about relationship building. And when you build those relationships, because children have the first spirit of discernment. And they know when you're real. They know when you're their go-to person. They know when you really trust and believe in them. You know, so we model. I was in I did the extra. And hopefully, sometimes when you do the extra, man, I'm gonna say it like this. I tutor for free. And not looking for glory. Those is my kids. And the only way I'm gonna be able to not stay on this rigorous, tedious schedule is sometimes I got to come early, or sometimes I got to stay late, because those children's education mean that more to me. And we got to get the teachers where they stop being selfish and prideful. We got to stand up as selfless educators and say, this is what it's going to take to break these generational educational curses among our students that look like us. Because if we give up on them, who gonna educate?
I like it. I like that for real. This Mississippi vibes with Bert, and I'm thrilled and delighted that I have three wonderful educators on with me. And I would like to apologize. Like I say, I'll be messing up names, putting last names with people that don't even belong. But, you know, to Mr. Russell, Ms. Webb, Ms. Anderson, I apologize for that. But I thank y'all for doing this. You know, I was raised by an educator. My grandmother was a retired teacher after 40-something years. And I know about racism. I know about how deep it's embedded into the minds of people. I done heard the stories. I done seen pictures. My father in 1969 was on the hit list from the KKK. So, you know, I understand y'all passion, and I really, I thank y'all. My son, William III, we went through a tragedy. I don't know how to say this. I don't supposed to talk about it. You know, his mother asked me not to talk about it, but I just can't keep holding stuff in. My son was he was touched by a bus driver for a whole school year. So I know how the system protects officials, protect their people. I know how, because I went through, the only way I started getting answers, I started threatening administrators. Not, I don't, believe in, I ain't calling no police to threaten you. I'm talking about, I'm gonna come to your door. You can give me some answers, or we go take this to another level. So it's on you to, you can talk to me, we can talk. So, so I understand y'all passion, I feel about it. And as I'm listening to y'all, it just hurt. It's like a knife in my heart to understand that this racism is so deeply sown in our system. And they trying to just keep us behind however way they can. But we're gonna go right now this time. I'm gonna bring Miss Bogart in so she can introduce herself and tell about the wonderful things that Be True is doing, her and Mr. Tim. Miss Bogart, you there?
I'm here. Hello.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So hello everyone. Facebook. Thank you, Bert, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, Dorian. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Jukobie, for being our real unsung heroes, just modeling for some individuals on this day. Just have to say that Tim Joyce, LLC, and Be True Awareness Outreach Inc., which is a nonprofit 501c3 that focuses on educating, elevating, and empowering our community. And what we do in trying to bridge communities, those gaps within the community, it's just by bringing a platform such as teachers and other individuals who are working with our children every day, doing the hard job and not being acknowledged. So Memphis, we are bringing to you, it was going to be May of this year, but with COVID, a lot of things have changed. So May the 8th, 2021, the individuals you saw today, plus some more. Check us out on Facebook. We're BEETRU, that's Be True. And you can see these teachers that are out here giving it 100%. And if you follow them and look at them on their page, they're wonderful. You've heard Felicia speak today. If you watch her on Facebook, she's in those classes with those students. She's making sure they get science projects done. I know Felicia on a personal level, and I know how hard she gives it. She calls me every year, like, can you come out and be a judge for my science fair? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do it. Dorian, my sorority sister, I love her. She's very close to my VP, soon to be. Won't put a business out there, but doing excellent things. She's making sure that these kids are getting it as well. I've had an opportunity to see how she works one-on-one with her son, as she mentioned earlier, with him being in private school, but having an opportunity to be in her presence and just see how she works with him. So I know when she's giving her son, and as a member of Delta Sigma Theta, I know she's giving it 100% when she's doing it with the students. And Jukobie, knowing him on a personal level as well. So I'm just really, really glad that I'm able to know these individuals today on the platform. But Jukobie, a male, and I have to say it, I'm not racist or anything, but a Black male. We are missing that dynamic in the school. I was having a conversation with someone the other day and was just reflecting back to when I was a little girl, raised in a Black neighborhood, and I went to my elementary school, and I was just like, there's only white teachers. Not a bad thing, but it was what I was exposed to at that time. And as I matriculated up to a higher grade, I started seeing seeing Black teachers, which made me feel good. Where I'm going with this story is we need to be able to see people like us sometimes, not all the time, but people who can relate to us a lot of times and give us 100%. And education is very important. I have a Black male son, and he attends a all boys school here in the city of Memphis. I won't say the name of his school, but they on a quasi type school level. So all uniforms, all the way from their hair, all the way down to their socks and shoes, and they get points and things of that nature. And taking him from a public school to this other school gave him hope. It gave him life. It encouraged him. I have nothing against the schools here in the city of Memphis, Shelby County, Tennessee, but my son loved it because the majority of the teachers there are male, Black and white, and I just seen a different piece in him. The classrooms are smaller. He actually come home. He's more enthusiastic about his day. We're able to get through some things a little bit better than previously. And so this is why Tim, Joyce, and I decided, hey, let's honor these teachers. And our ultimate goal is to make this an ongoing thing yearly. When you give, or when you receive rather, you tend to give a little bit more. And I just heard the teacher speak, and like with any job, I'm pretty sure it gets frustrating. It gets overwhelmed. You need support. You need guidance. And I just speaking from personal experience, sometimes individuals get elevated to the top in a position they may or may not be ready. But sometimes they forget where they came from, so they're not able to be true anymore to themselves and to their staffs and to the individuals underneath them. And one of the things is when Be True decided to do this fundraiser, which is the ABCs, going back to the basics, the ABCs Apples Award Gala, we sat with teachers. We surveyed about 40 teachers, and we asked them what day of the year would they like this event to be. And they said the end of a Teachers Appreciation Week, which is March, the first week of March. And I listened to the stories of how some of them said that they worked their butts off day in and day out. You heard Felicia mention, I go to school early, I stay late, I tutor for free. And it was like, you know what? At the end of the week, I've only got a sneaker bar from my officials. I didn't get a letter from people at the very top. And I know how discouraging it can be. And I'm always watching social media, and I have other friends that are teachers, and just, I give 100% and I only give 1% back. So that's what Tim, Joyce, and Be True, myself, Sherry Bogart, you all know me as Rain Rogers on a lot of social media outlets. We just want to acknowledge the real unsung heroes. We can't pay them, but we can make sure at this gala they receive the acknowledgement, they receive an award, and they receive the night that will motivate them and keep them going. And we're seeing it now where how when we post things and some of the students come behind us and say, that's my teacher and I love her. And I think some of the teachers didn't even know that. I've had an opportunity to share the nominations with some of the teachers, and they're like, wow, my student said that. Wow, the parent nominated me. So we want to get this out there. We want people to be acknowledged for the good work that they're doing. That's it.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
I thank you for
Thank you all. Yes.
thank you for putting this together so we can hook up and I will be able to, get to know people and we can collaborate together and stop this craziness that's going on. And stop acting like teachers don't exist. They're not the real heroes of our community. So, Mr. Russell,
Wrapping up now.
what is it like to be a Black male teacher, and what are the challenges, that you face and your fellow Black teachers face?
Selfless plug here. So when I attended Kentucky State University, I was searching for a major, and an older white woman literally walked up to me while I was in the education office and said that if I had already loved children. I had been working with children through charity work through my school and high school and stuff like that. I did a lot at the junior college I attended before I went to Kentucky State University, the Grand Kentucky State University. I was in the education office and she walks up to me and she says, if you decide to come into education and you become a teacher, as a Black male, you'll never look for a job again a day of your life. And so that hit me hard. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, because there's not many of you out there. And she began to ask me, and we were having dialogue about my experience with kids and my past and all that kind of stuff. And she said, you would be a perfect education major. I don't think I left that office without signing up. So there is definitely job security in Black male educators, especially at the elementary level, if you are degreed and licensed. The part that I find the struggle with is that, and this has been my experience only, that I'm speaking about, is that I feel the pressure of having to fit in a box a lot. Sometimes I walked out of it. I'll give you a real brief example. I won't say the school district, but I did an interview for a school district. And as I was leaving the office, they had already offered me the job. As I was leaving the office, I heard the principal close the door and tell her secretaries, we're fully staffed, woohoo. And as I was walking away, that's all they were saying. That's all they were talking about, was being fully staffed. And she didn't say, hey, I got a great teacher. I think he's going to be wonderful. They were just concerned that they were fully staffed, and especially about the fact that I was a Black male in a predominantly free lunch Black student school. And as the year went on, I felt the pressure of having to fit in some sort of box as a Black male. And when clearly figuratively speaking, I can't even spell box, and I kind of try to tell, administrators that when I interview with them, you're going to find me standing on tables. You're going to walk past my room and think I'm yelling at the children. No, I'm reading a book or I'm reading a sentence that has an exclamation point. You're going to find me talking to them like I'm their older brother or uncle. Not, I'm not going to say, okay, Johnny, come sit down. That's not who I am. And once you get to a point, sometimes, you got to be really tough, especially on our children. You got to be really, really tough. And you got to do it in a professional way. It's got to be love. But sometimes you're not understood, and it seems different to them. And then I had a principal that literally just stopped talking to me. Literally just stopped talking to me. Was friends with me. I put my room in all red, black, and green, and we had some tough conversations with kids. And this one day, she just literally just stopped talking to me and never really spoke to me again. Needless to say, I'm no longer with them. So just having to fit in that box is a challenge. And then also just because you're Black and you're a male, that you're just going to be the one who's going to discipline the entire school all the time. It's difficult. When you got 25, 28 kids of your own, I don't mind helping students. I don't mind helping teachers. But just because I'm the Black male teacher in the building, which usually I'm only one. Fortunately, I'm not now, but usually I'm the only one. Having that difficulty of, you've already got 30 kids in your classroom. You've got 75 deliverables a day. And now you've got 5 other kids from across the building because you can relate to them. And, simple stuff. And just finding ways to relate to kids. I've seen things change rule-wise inside the school. Anybody knows me knows that one of the things I love is shoes, especially gym shoes. And I will wear a different pair of gym shoes every day, a particular brand I won't give name to, because that's not where my mindset is anymore. But I would wear a different pair every day. And I knew the kids would just pay attention to that. And they would gravitate towards me because they felt like I knew what they were going through. I knew what I knew what they liked, the things they liked. And those are things that made relationships with kids. And then turn around and look up, oh, well, your principal doesn't like you anymore. And now we have a rule that says you can't wear tennis shoes. So just stuff like that is a challenge. I think the most rewarding thing is being appreciated by people like Sherry, by people who really understand the trials and tribulations that we go through as educators. Like I said earlier, it's tough enough that, we are going through Corona. We're going through police brutality and police murders as Black men. And then, just being a Black male in general, and I'm not, shading any, being a Black person, period, women too, especially being a Black man. I mean, you're just overly exposed to violence. You're overly exposed to negativity. You're painted in so many different ways. And then you go into that classroom and you relate to these kids in a way that no one else can. And having that basically relationship stressed out because you have people who want you to fit inside of some box. But I do appreciate people like Sherry and others who respect what we do as educators, especially as Black educators in this country. And my biggest challenge is just learning how to continue to move forward, because it's stressful. And that's why I mentioned the other factors. It's stressful being a Black person, especially a Black person in America, and then having to deal with the trauma in your classroom. And then you have people above you who say, I want you to walk like this or act like this or dress like that. I think that's my biggest challenge, is just trying to stay de-stressed.
Mr. Russell, how do we get more Black males in the classroom?
You want the simple answer? Pay us more. If I can be a computer science major and come out of college making $80,000 a year, what would make me want to go back into my community and teach for $25,000 a year? If I can make, $1 million playing basketball, why would I aspire to be a teacher? If I can do all these different things that will make so much more money, why would I want to deal with the stress and the trauma in the classroom if I can make twice the amount of what a teacher makes? I think that if they valued our profession in general, and not just Black male teachers, just in general, that you would see a change in education, you would see a change in our system of government, you would see a change in our society. And as far as attracting Black males, I'll be frank with you. Let us be Black males. Don't put us in a box. Each one of us are different, just like each person on this earth is different. Don't hire us because you think that you're going to be the savior of all the little Black children. No, I'm not. I'm going to be the savior of all children. And I'm going to continue to work my best, to do my best, to be my best. And, you know, to go back from what I said earlier, simply pay teachers more. Value teachers. Value teachers. Teachers, there's nothing on this planet that is made without a teacher, whether it be a professional teacher or a teacher in the village. There's nothing on this planet that can be made without a teacher. Value the profession more. If they value the profession more of us will come to it.
Ms. Webb, well, we got a few more questions, then we're going to wrap this up. It's been great. I know y'all got to get prepared for tomorrow. Ms. Webb, why do you feel teachers are not valued, and why is the pay is so low?
Wow. Why are they not valued, and why is the pay so low?
Yes, ma'am. Just come from the heart, baby.
And that's what I'm saying. Ingrained in me would say, gosh, teachers are not valued because education has been seen as a babysitting service. And I mean that with all honesty. Teaching has become such a part of, they need to keep our kids, or they need to make sure our kids are okay. And then you come up to the school and you wonder why little Johnny is acting the way he's acting, and you think it's our fault. It's not our fault. And so we're not valued. I don't think we're not valued the way we need to be valued. You have different neighborhoods. Say, for instance, if I worked in another part of the city, and I know that those parents will value me more. Does everybody understand what I'm trying to say? If I worked in another part of the city, and I was doing the same things that I do in my class, engaging the students, doing different activities, doing open labs, things like that, allowing students to be students, giving students the love that they deserve. In another part of town, I probably would be valued more. But it's sad to say that in our own neighborhoods, we're not valued as much. And then the teaching profession has went down so much because computers are starting to teach students. You have computer programs that are catered and geared to, oh, Johnny, you've done a good job. Let's go on to number 6. 6 plus 9 is it, you know, and so they're being taught by a computer. And so we're not valued anymore because, okay, they're like, well, shoot, VIP kid, excuse me, I probably shouldn't be talking about it, VIP kids or whoever else online tutoring, they can do it better than Miss such and such at the schoolhouse. And so we're not valued as much. And I feel like Mr. Russell said, pay us more. Because Miss Anderson said that she tutors. I've tutored. I've been paid I've gone without pay for tutoring kids for longer than I was supposed to. I've went to Saturday school and didn't get paid for it. I've taught Saturday school. I've done computer classes. I've done those things. I've went as far as if I had another, say for instance, with coach and cheer. I went as far as picking kids up, doing things like that. Did I ask for gas money? Did I do things like that? No, I didn't. But it's because it's a part of my passion that I wanted to make sure kids got to school. I wanted to make sure that those students had extra snacks after school. I wanted to make sure that at the football game, the boys had Gatorades. I wanted to make sure, you know, all of those things. And so when we think about the hard work that we do, that's not valued as much. Our passion is there, but they're not paying us what we deserve. And I'm not saying that we need to just be paid so much, but we deal with so much more than we probably could talk about. We deal with being the counselor. We deal with being the doctor in the classroom or some type of medicator. We deal with, in the school system, probably being a lawyer, being a mediator. We deal with being those things because at the end of the day, you don't always want somebody fighting in your classroom. Am I right, Ms. Anderson, Mr. Russell? Y'all don't want nobody fighting in your classroom. So I got to be the lawyer. And you got to understand that I am going to punish if it don't get right. And I'm going to punish in my own way. And so we're not valued the way we're supposed to be valued. I think in certain communities, teachers are valued because they know, or the parents know, what the teacher has expected out of their students. Our parents don't necessarily always look to the teacher to say, is this your expectation? Are you going to make sure that they have their homework? Are you going to? No. Because you got booster clubs elsewhere. You got communities coming together for students, all of those type of things. And then also, where's the parental support? We don't have it. I think if we did have more parental support, there probably would be some things changed as well. And then maybe after COVID, now that we talked about it, I think some parents are really going to have to be like, okay, that teacher stood in the gap for me. That teacher answered the phone in the summertime when I needed her to. And that's where the value comes in, because at the end of the day, I cherish what I do. I value my students. I value what I do. I value people in the work, like Mr. Russell and Ms. Anderson, that are passionate about what they do, what they love, and will continue to advocate for students. There are times when I know there have been situations where I probably could have went left about it, but I didn't, because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy helping students. I enjoy being there for teachers. And so I guess to conclude this, I'm just saying that, you know, we're valued to a certain degree, but I know that we can be valued more. And we just got to find out another way to get teachers that are going to actually stay and be retained. Y'all know we know teachers that taught us, that taught 50 plus years. Now they're only teaching what? Maybe 10, maybe 20, you know? So, you know, thinking about the retention of teachers, we have to value our teachers more so that we can keep them.
Ms. Anderson?
Well, what I can say first, you know, and they know it, we know when we signed up for the profession for teaching, it wasn't for money. We knew that. You know, we knew what the typical teacher would make. And at one point, we, at least with the years of service, it would kind of balance out. You know, you really are doing it because you love it. Your reward comes with the children, but in their success. But then when you work in districts that don't promote student success, it does become frustrating. It does become to a point where you feel overwhelmed and we're not valued. Our time is not valued. One thing, I mean, the pay matters, but value my time. My time. They don't value our time. You know, they want to have all these meetings just to document that we met, that we had a PLC meeting, that you had a collaboration meeting. But when you get in the meeting, you know, if they're not complaining about something, or you're going just stuff you could do through email, you know, just because you're saying we need these meetings, let's do it through email, because give me an opportunity to grade the papers. You want instant things returned instantly. Value our time. Give us the support that we want. Give us the support that we need, you know. And like you said, it takes a village. And education isn't valued in our communities. When the parents come back and demand and stuff, because the parents, you know, if your child has had an F or a D the first quarter and an F or a D the second quarter, and now this third quarter came around and they had an F or a D, but they missed the fourth quarter, how did they think that they were going to be able to check? Okay, I'm sorry. Did you see that?
Yeah, I replied.
I'm sorry, it was my little ADHD played on me for a second. I'm sorry.
Thought you was in the classroom. You had an
I
announcement.
did, yeah. That's why I tell the kids, don't chew gum. It's a distraction.
Hey.
Oh, okay. No, but it's like, we keep passing our babies on no matter what. They're not held accountable. So it don't balance out. So the only person that suffers is the teachers. We know what it takes. We can't fail the children. We can't suspend the children because everybody worried about money. We the tests don't reflect what they know. They're making A's and B's on their report card because we can't give them their true grade, but the test reflect that they below basic. Come on, let's put it on a table. You going by data where if the data say that they on second or third grade level in their fifth grade, why are we pushing them to sixth grade? That's why they don't value us, because we won't say it. We sit back and we won't say it. We just, and I tell my husband sometimes, I say, man, I feel like I'm just as bad because I don't say, we can't say nothing because we can't leave our jobs. We need our job. That's our bread and butter. But sometimes it need to be evident. Come on, y'all. Let's put it on the table. If the tests say they're below basic, why are we passing them? And then the intervention program they have, I think it will be done if it's done effectively. You got the classroom teacher that now has to learn and implement intervention on a tight schedule. This man talking about research. I don't even know when the kids can see recess in our time frame. They don't get recess. What is that? They need it because they gave the teachers an opportunity where we could have said, okay, I can deal with this classroom issue if you give me something that I can hold them accountable for. You don't do your homework, you're going to do it during recess. You don't act accordingly in class, you keep walking and talking, you're going to have to sit out 5 minutes for recess. There's no accountability held on nobody but the teachers. They holding us accountable for everybody because they don't value us. They don't value our time, and they show it. And it's a slap in the face, but again, it goes back, we're selfless. We knew what we signed up for because we know that if we don't do our jobs, we setting our kids up for failure in the future. So, we need to get on the table together. They need to value us to ask us, what do we think that we can do to help our kids during this pandemic? What can we do to help make sure, even with the police brutality and stuff that happens. We have set up a zone where our kids at schools can be they can cuss us out. They can talk about us. And they get, and not really a slap on her, I'm saying slap as exaggeration. Nothing happens to them. They can't talk in the cafeteria, but they can talk in the classroom. They can get in trouble for talking in the cafeteria and the halls where they should be allowed to talk. But if they talk in the classroom and we redirect them, we wrong. Everything that we do to teach them accountability, they take it from us. And then they go out and they talk crazy to a police officer or disrespect somebody because they have been allowed to do this with nothing happening to them. But all the accountability goes on to the underpaid educator that's so passionate, that's love her job, that's willing to put her family on the back burner to educate, to innovate so they can be successful. So I hope I said what I'm supposed to say.
You said it.
Yeah, you just preached a sermon.
No.
We all kind of went there for a second, didn't it?
Hallelujah.
Well, that's what it's gonna take, That's what it's gonna take, man. Whew. But we have to be the voice.
Things that we think. Like you say some of the things that I think I was thinking, but I probably was not able to push out.
And it's a shame that we have to walk on eggshells what we'll say. But sometimes you got to expose that devil. You got to expose the corruption. You got to expose the wickedness. You can't keep sliding it up under the rug. We got to call out what's going on in these schools. Because sometimes saying nothing, you're part of the problem. So
Go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
You gotta be careful.
We have
You
to
gotta
be
be
open
careful.
for it, but we
I know
also
for
have to
me.
be open for that criticism. We have to be open to that criticism because you can say it all day long, but
you got to have a
am I
plan.
going to respond?
You got to have a plan
right?
and action in place. You do, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. You can't just say it. You have to have a plan in place. But they don't put us at the planning table.
How do we get at the table?
That's a good question. Oh, lead a classroom and forget where you came from.
And don't even, never mind.
Mr. Russell?
I say that for me, again, education for us was not something that they ever wanted. So what did we do?
We snuck and get it.
Built our own.
Mm-hmm. We got to educate our own.
That we want to be educated and then build up children, build up leaders that will teach future generations. This is what we want. This is what we need, because without this, everything's going to go haywire. If you're really not thinking, if we're not teaching thinking skills, everything's going to go haywire.
Yeah, that's how HBCUs became to be, was because we didn't have anyone who wanted to teach us, and we couldn't go anyplace else, so we built our own. And we were very successful doing so. I've always been told, I've been told several times by different people, you can't watch what other people do with their money. But I think we have enough millionaires and a few billionaires that are Black that should start pulling themselves together. And I wouldn't even mind if everyone gave, 1%, if all of us gave 1% of our check or our income to one pot so we can start building our own. I think that's the only way we're ever going to really be successful, because even if you are a Black teacher inside of a racist system, you can't get across what you need to. Yeah, your hands are tied. I mean, you have to teach them what they want you to teach them. One of my happiest joys as a parent was when because being an educator and a parent was when my daughter came home talking about Christopher Columbus discovered America. So best believe I sent her back the next day with the proper information, and her teacher didn't want to hear it. And it wasn't a great day for her that day. But my point being is that we have to be able to teach our own and build our own. There's a homeschool network that I work for. I'm also one of my streams of income, because you got to have multiple as a teacher. One of my streams of income is I officiate basketball. And I'm the lead official for a particular homeschool, national homeschool. And it is probably 98% white. And they're teaching their own. And they're doing a very good job. These kids are going to some of the best colleges in America. I've been working with them for probably 12 years now, maybe a little bit more. And every year I watch them send their kids off to some of the best colleges in the world, and they're homeschooling them. And I think we need to be doing more of that instead of sending, like I think it was Miss Webb who said, sending them to us and expecting us to do all the work and holding us accountable for everything. We can't be held accountable for everything. We just can't. It starts in the home. And if people start teaching their kids at home more often, I think we would be more successful as a culture.
Teacher.
Well, the parent and the teacher relationship has to improve as well. Like I said, I mean, you can have a full neighborhood of Caucasian and they will boost the entire school. They'll help little Johnny, who is probably friends with Brandon or Bert, who is Caucasian, and will support them to the point where little Brandon can be going to some of the same schools as Bert. And that's just being real. When you have those neighborhoods that support like that, like if you think about Covington, Tennessee, and you think about their football players, just to be, think about
the boosters that they've had, and think about the boys that have come from that school that are African American that have went on to other schools, and because of scholarships and because of boosters, but they were educated from this side, and I've witnessed it myself. I went to Austin Peay State University. I witnessed it myself. So if they're using the parent relationship right, the booster, things like that, it can happen, and they don't necessarily have to go to this type of school. But they can go to an African American, TSU's, the what other schools, Spelman and Morehouse, all of those. They can go to those schools.
Like
What I
Mr.
find
Russell, I
Yes, sir.
apologize. Go ahead, sir.
No, I was just going to say what I find interesting about what you said, Ms. Webb, is that the parent piece and the relationship piece, and I'll just add to that there has to be more parent accountability as well. And you're 100% right about where people go in certain communities, or certain communities have different advantages as it pertains to how they're able to, or what they choose to do with their kids. I'm not going to call out this particular area, but there's an area here in Indianapolis that has a dad's club that does athletics and a lot of different things, and most of the coaches there are males. And I'm not going to sit here and act like they're like 10 or 15. There are hundreds of these men, and it just outweighs anything that we have in our community. So I totally agree with what you're saying on that piece.
I have to get into this before we leave. We have been dealing with this for a long time. The killing of innocent Black males and females. How has it changed y'all approach, or how did you have to adjust with dealing with what's going on? And you got the young Black males and females coming to the classroom with this anger and rage and sadness and everything that's on their heart about what's happening. How are y'all handling and dealing with that? Ms. Anderson?
Well, I can talk as a parent. I have a 16-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 10, and a 3-year-old. Now I have all girls, but I'm also around my nephews now, and they're 9 and 10. Now my 16-year-old, almost 17-year-old, she's angry. She's upset. She's dealing with it, and I'm trying to talk with her about dealing with it and not letting it become where you're so angry about it, because she thinks that the people are acting out because they're angry, and they are. But when they get through doing that, is it going to solve anything? So as a parent, I'm trying to find the words of comfort to help my daughter understand that has a lot of knowledge. She knows history like the back of her hand. And I'm trying to talk to her and let her know, don't let the situation become you. The only way you can change it is by continuing to educate yourself, but continuing to know. And see, they took out social, I don't know about in Indianapolis, but down here, we don't teach social studies anymore in elementary. And that taught morals and values and history. The kids don't understand what happened. I showed the Ernest Green story to my homeroom this year. They didn't know anything about that situation. The kids don't realize the struggle that people that look like us, our ancestors, our grandparents and great-grandparents went for us to get education like this. I always tell my kids, you have a full platter of education served to you. If you got the education, what are our kids right now doing with the education that's served to them? If you give a dog a platter of food, what is the dog going to do? He's going to eat it. We're living in a society where our kids is not eating it. They're not hungry for education anymore because they don't know the struggle that took place. We have to educate our children and make them understand what's going on. We got to have these conversations and welcome them in. We can't act like it's not there, because then I have my 12-year-old and my 11-year-old and 9-year-old. They want to go ride and tear up stuff because they watch the news and they just want to be out there because they wrong, but they don't understand what's going on. So as parents and as educators, we have to bring it to the table. We have to talk about it, and we got to come up with ways that educate them and let them know. That's why Ms. Anderson is teaching the 3 branches of government, to let you know when you get 18, you go vote for those lower levels. You turn that rap music off. Get off of CJ So Cool YouTube page. We got to start instilling in our kids and making them aware of what's going on in the world. So when they get old enough, they can take all those things in consideration, because when you know better, you do better. So we get them voting. We get them educated where they can be on the document to be voted for. We get them in the school board. We get them in the school district. We get them in politics. We get them so they can be the change and the procedure and the decision making. Because it's more than the president. We got to look at the Senate, the House of Representatives. We even got to go below the legislative branch, because even the president still have to go through the judicial branches where they make the final decision and evaluate it. Our kids need to know that they don't teach social studies in lower levels. And if they don't know where they come from, how they know where they're going? And that's why history is repeating itself, because they don't know where we've been. So I hope I answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. It's your feelings, your answer, Ms. Webb.
So I wrote down 2 things. Social emotional learning and ACEs. And so repeat your question, because I heard you talking about like, how are we going to help the students after COVID, or repeat your question.
I said, with all the killing of innocent Black males and females that we've been dealing with as a culture, how has it, or how will it change your approach dealing with young Black males and females in the school system that's dealing with the anger, that's dealing with the uncertainty of what's going on with the world?
Well, I can honestly tell you that I've dealt with quite a few students that were a part of other affiliations, that came to school angry all the time. And I've dealt with students that have had family members that have perished due to those type of things. And so it makes me think about the social emotional learning, where you really have to get in and talk to them. COVID, police brutality, neighborhood brutality. This is what our kids are really dealing with right now. They're really seeing all of this. Like, they've seen several of the kids that I know that I've spoken with and I've taught before. They've seen the brutality. They've seen the domestic violence. They've seen all of those things. And so what do you as a teacher do to get them where they need to be? Each one teach one. I can't tell you that I dealt with all of those things, but I promise you I can show you something that can help you move to a better place. Get out of this neighborhood. Get a job. Get your education. Join the military if that's something that you want to do. But we have to teach it in a way that they understand that it's not necessarily them. Because what's happening now is that a lot of the news and the media and everything like that tries to make it portray that they're the reason why, or something happened and that's the reason why they are in the predicament that they're in. And people will probably come back and say, okay, well, maybe, the young man, that happened with last week, maybe he did something. And then so they'll start twisting our young people's minds. And so we have to, as educators and parents, get our kids to understand it's not because of you. It may be something that happened in their life or in their city or in their state that has caused them for that to happen, will cause the brutality from the police, the president, all of those. I feel as if it's certain ways that we have to actually teach our kids about it, because my 5-year-old, I'm not letting him see any of those riots and things like that. I just don't want him to see that, because they can have an effect on him later. What if that can make him go out there later and be like, okay, well, let's tear up some stuff. Let's throw some stuff away. That's not what I want. And it's the same thing with our students. They may be seeing it, but they don't really understand what is really going on behind that. And last thing I say, we've been learning about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. And so right now, students are dealing with that right now. They've dealt with it before, but they're really dealing with it now. And so as a child who's dealing with a domestic situation or watching the riots or seeing that Black people are being killed right now, that's something they're gonna have to grow up with. And then we have to, as teachers, cultivate a learning environment that they understand, okay, look, you need to be learning. You need to be taught what as Ms. Anderson said, what the judicial system is about. Are they really out to get you, or are they here to protect and serve you? Because if you think about it, you've seen police officers that have really said, they put it out there, I'm that cop that's gonna tell you I'm here to protect and serve you. That's not me, or that's not what I believe in. And the same thing with a teacher. If a teacher was to be unruly to a student, that student may think that all teachers are like that. That's not it. You need to teach that student, look, I'm a teacher that's gonna love you through everything. I'm a teacher that's gonna love you through, my uncle passed yesterday, my cousin was doing this last night, our house got broken into. Because if we really think about it, as teachers, we're dealing with all of those things. We're carrying those things. I dealt with a situation earlier this year with a student being hurt and ended up passing. And so we're dealing with those situations. Not only am I dealing with it, but I know that I have to teach to a student that may have dealt with it or have seen something like that happen. I've been that teacher that was at the hospital with students that have been shot. I've been that teacher that has been at houses and things like that. So it gets personal to me. And as a teacher, again, the learning environment has to be changed. We've got to teach to the social emotional learning. We've got to teach to the adverse childhood experiences, because a child that is hurt and torn down as a child, what do you think they're going to be as an adult? That's all.
Mr. Russell, come on, take us home, brother.
For me, one of the things that I said earlier is about it. What's tough for me as a Black male educator is, sometimes I believe that you have to stop teaching math and reading for a moment to teach them about life, and that's really more important about not only survival but thriving. Survival is a state of stress. Thriving is a state of creation and being able to be creative. One of the I did mention one reason why I got into teaching earlier, but another reason that was big on me, the reason why I got into teaching was a series of books by Kwanzaa Kunjufu, The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, where he talks about, and he's done massive studies over how this happens, about how little Johnny keeps getting kicked out of the classroom, and it creates this school to prison pipeline. That's just to give a general idea of what it was. But and so for me, I impart that information to the kids. I break it down to them. Like, I teach fourth grade, so I break it down to them on fourth grade level. One of the things I do is, when we do have situations like this, I don't act surprised, because I'm not surprised. So I'm not gonna say I act any kind of way, but I don't act surprised because I'm not surprised. I show them how this has been going on throughout all of history. I don't know what happened. Okay. All right. I show them in the history books, like Miss Anderson was talking about, not teaching social studies anymore. I show them in history how this is nothing new. We just got cell phones now. We have internet. This is nothing that has never been going on since the beginning of this corporation we call a country of America. One of the things I take that energy and I say, okay, look, y'all want to stop this? Y'all want to help stop this? Then we got to start with education. One of the things I talk to them about is there's a man who has a study or I don't know if you've ever heard of Dr. Claude Anderson, but he talks a lot about what's considered powernomics. And the pillars of that is he shows how those who have it, those who make the laws, those who have it, the people who are doing the damage to us, the people who are killing us, the people who are getting away with killing us, he talks about why and how this happens. And then so I talk to them a lot about powernomics. So, those pillars are, owning business and practicing group economics. And I teach them what that is and I tell them, everybody, we talk about, kids say, oh, okay, well, I want to be this, I want to be that. I say, no, you want to own that. Even if you want to be a football player, you want to own the football team. That way you can play any position you want. Oh, I want to be a doctor. No, I want you to own a hospital. We don't talk about, nobody in my classroom is allowed to talk about being a worker. We are talking about being owners. And that's one of the principles that he teaches. And therefore, once you start becoming an owner, you have the ability to practice group economics. Therefore, you can build your financial base. Once you build your financial base, and one of the things I do teach, and I agree with you, Ms. Anderson, 100% about teaching those different levels of government. But at the same time, I also teach them that they don't run nothing. Corporations run this country. This country is a corporation. The biggest people who have the biggest money make the laws. And so if we own our own businesses, therefore we can be in control of our politics. People keep acting like, voting is going to change everything. I agree with voting. Yes, you should. But it's not going to change everything unless we start to control our own politics. And the only way we do that is through having large amounts of money. And that is through business ownership. That next level comes up after that. Once we control our politics, therefore we can control our court and police system. Because then we can make the laws to say, hey, if we got a video of you standing on somebody's neck, we ain't going to court. We know what killed. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have your little due process, but we're not great. It's not going to get drawn out. This is you. You did it. Okay. So we can start to make those laws because we control that. Therefore, the court systems and the police have to respect, what we're doing because we make the laws. And then on top of all of that, put together, you have your media. We own less than 1/8 of a percent, maybe, if that, 1/8 of a 1/8 of a percent, less than 1/8 of a percent of any large media outlets. So everything that we see, is us being negative. If it's not some kind of ratchet TV show, if it's not, black males, with their, dressing certain ways, I'll just put it that way, or doing certain things. That's all the kids are bombarded with, so they think that's who they're supposed to be. That's all the little girls are bombarded with, so they think that's who they're supposed to have and who they're supposed to be. And then when we, if we're not controlling our media, that's the reason why the police is and anybody else wants to kill us on sight, because they think that we're nothing but savages. And that's how things have been going since the beginning of time. This is a very calculated thing. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. And so when they do have that negative energy about, Philando Castile or Tamir Rice or anybody, I mean, I can name 500 people, and I still wouldn't be done. Then I say, what you need to do? You need to learn these principles. Therefore, you can control your future better. And then when they get off track, I say, look, man, come on. This lesson is going to help you learn how to, write your grant for your business. That way you can control your politics. That way your politics can control the court and police system. That way you can control your media. So we're not dealing with what you're dealing with every day. That's how I deal with it.
Good answer. Good answer.
Good answer.
Great job, boss man.
That was a good way to add there.
That's why they so
Thank
threatened by us. That's why they so threatened by us, man. You educate us, and they don't want us to get it, and they don't want us to push it on our babies because, man, we're a threat. We're the chosen ones, and they know it. Man.
Yeah, they afraid of them millennials now because they crazy. They ain't afraid.
Jacoby, you are a gem up there in Indianapolis. You don't even understand. You're a gem. That's
Thank
Oh,
you.
he's awesome. Yes, awesome. I love him. He's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're all gym in your own rights in your own areas too. We need it. We need each other because I can't be anywhere
Definitely.
close to being anything successful if I don't have people like y'all around me. So kudos
Yeah,
to
Miss
each.
Anderson, she a firecracker, I can tell you.
Come to Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So, Miss Anderson, we'll go Miss Anderson, Miss Webb, Mr. Russell, then Miss Bogart. We can to lead us out. Any closing remarks that y'all would like to say? And once again, I would like to thank y'all for taking time out y'all busy schedule away from your family to sit down and talk with me and to spread the knowledge about, teachers and what's going on behind the scenes that, we don't get to hear or we don't know about. So, Ms. Anderson, thank you and closing remarks.
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity to come and speak and voice, things that, as an educator, we have to overcome. I really appreciate Sherry and the Be True organization. When she first told me about it, I appreciate it because we have a couple other platforms that went forth in Memphis highlighting different people throughout the city. And I was like, man, teachers wasn't even on the ballot to be recognized. But they had a nurse. And last time I checked, it looked like a nurse and a teacher is equivalent. But then I started to think about it and say, we do need our own platform because we are unique. We are different. We are peculiar. The job that we have, everybody can't do this. I have a friend that always say, teachers are born, not created. And when you're born for this job, I always say teaching is my calling. I was called for this. So I am going to master all the obstacles, all the adversity, because as long as I do my job, because just like the Most High, everybody not going to be saved. But those ones that we do get, we push them on. And, I love what I do. And I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't change anything. I just want to continue to let our babies know. And I want to teach them that once you get this thing called education, no one can take it. We have the power of potential. And we have to stay in our classroom educating our children. We got to make them have self-pride in their neighborhoods, in their communities, in their school building. We got to make them value. We're living in a society where they don't care. They don't care what people think about them. It's like, whatever, I'm going to do me because that's what it's. But why doing you can't be excellent? Like you said, we got the main one, the Google monster, I call it, the television. They're painting this false images of us. And we have to get in those classrooms and we got to let our babies know, like he said, man, and I've never looked at it like that. I was at just be the doctor, be the lawyer, be the astronaut. But when Mr. Russell said, own it, you right. And I feel that we do need to capitalize and get our own schools and teach our kids because we won't handicap our kids. It's a lot of handicapping our kids, not holding them accountable. We need things instilled in the school to teach. We get on the parents and say different things, but some parents just don't know how to be parents. We need programs put in the school system that teaches the parent how to be a parent, how to help your child with the homework, how to help your child have self-pride. Just simple things. We keep telling people what to do, but we got to teach them. There's a major difference between telling and teaching. And that's what we have to do. We have to stand our ground. We have to be consistent. We have to change and be the difference and become contagious. So I appreciate, this platform to say that. And I'm excited about where it's going and where it's going to get because, there will be change. We just got to make sure we're vessels that's offering the change that's going to innovate and put our kids in a successful state. Okay. I guess.
That was awesome, Miss Anderson. I don't think I have as much because you didn't pour it all. But I do think I do thank Sherry, Be True, and everyone that has put this together. It makes me think about my previous teachers, my previous educators. I went to an elementary school from K through 6, and just knowing that those values were instilled in me early. I didn't want to be a teacher, honestly. Did not want to be a teacher. That was not what I was into. I love computers, honestly, and I still love computers, which is something that I would like to get into eventually. If I don't teach anymore, I would like to get back into computers and everything like that. But those teachers instilled a lot of values in me from K through 6th grade, and all of them were not African American. Some of them were, Caucasian, and they still gave me the best education that I could have gotten. And I appreciate that. And so that's what I want to be. I want to be that teacher that, years down the line, those students can be like, man, Ms. Webb, she was hard, but she was fair. Ms. Webb, she got on our butt, but she made sure that we learned. Ms. Webb made sure that we had snacks to eat. She made sure that she hugged us when she saw us. She talked to us, and she made sure that we stayed on the right path. Because when I see students that are falling off the path, I get on them. And even to this day, any of my former students can tell you, I'm still, if I'm Facebook friends with them, if I'm anything, if I see them out, I'm always saying, are you doing good? Are you taking care of business? Were you in school at? Things like that. So that's where I am about being an educator. I love doing what I do. I love being able to reach out and talk to other educators about what they're doing in their classrooms and learning from them. Because as an educator, you are a lifelong learner. And just from this panel today, I have learned so much. And I appreciate being able to share my little 2 cents, because I feel as if I know a little bit, but I know I'm learning so much more. And so I appreciate those who want to highlight educators. It's good to see it on TV. Oh, Miss such and such, Miss Becky, she did this, and then they brought her an apple and they're done. But how long are we going to continue to say educators are unsung heroes? Educators did this, educators did that. And so just knowing that this is just the surface, if I can put it like that, I believe this is just the surface of what will happen as far as helping educators, advocating for educators, and making sure the educators are put on a platform where they can continuously be acknowledged and recognized. And so thank you, Mr. Burt, for having us. We do appreciate it all. And, I guess eventually we'll be able to meet in person and do this all over again.
Yeah, I'll be in, excuse me, Mr. Russell. I'll be in Memphis in 2 weeks. So, I don't know how, what I'm saying, depending on how y'all going. But yeah, we can meet, sit down and talk, however you want to do it. I would love to meet y'all in person.
I'm sure I have a lot of other firecrackers that would love to meet and be on this same panel, even though they weren't able to make it today. So I'm sure we probably can do something one day. Mr. Russell, we need you to come on down to the South.
Mr. Russell, come on, sir.
Yes, sir. I want to just start by thanking you, Bert, and Mississippi Vibe for having this. Please go, those of you watching, go support this brother. He's doing big and positive things. I want to thank Sherry and Be True for their work that she's doing outside of this. Many probably don't know. Be True is not about just recognizing teachers. It's about domestic violence. She really needs to look into what the work that she's doing in Memphis, because it's having a big effect on people in a positive way. I want to give another shameless plug to Kentucky State University. for making me an educator and the experiences I had there. But to leave it off, basically, I just want to say to parents that if you're watching, please know that you are their first and most important teacher. What I do for 8 hours can be turned around in 30 minutes once you get home. And while we're in this COVID thing, don't worry about their educators, their education as much. Continue to teach and do what you can. Do the best that you can. We are superheroes. That is our superpower. We are teachers. So when they come back in the fall, we're going to be okay. Their child's going to be okay. What we need you to do is love on them a whole lot. Make sure that they're okay mentally, because I can teach them, but I can't teach them very well if they're mentally stressed when they get back or they've been abused or been hurt. So love on your kids and teach them things about life. But don't worry too much about them falling behind. We're superpowers. We have superpowers. We'll get them back on track. But also with that, I just want to say to those who are watching, I just hope that, you know, whether you're an administrator at a school or whether you're just somebody in society who knows about teaching, please value what we do. Stop looking at us as a babysitting service. I think that some of you through this COVID have really learned that, you know, yeah, little Johnny does do that all the time, you know, and he, you know, so I'll leave it at that. But from an administrator point of view, I just hope that you guys realize that you can't have teachers without students. You can't have students without teachers. There is no 1 and 2. Both of us make the one. We are a DNA strand that has to go together. You cannot treat your students better than your teachers. That's like treating half of your child good and the other half wrong. That's not ever going to work. And just understand that something I want to go away is that the fact that people don't understand that nothing in this world happens without a teacher. And the last thing I'm going to say, I really want to hear this phrase die out. It's ridiculous to me for this phrase even ever been said. But the phrase that those who can't teach. And I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Jukobie.
Oh, we can't find no other job, so we teach. Okay, I got it. Oh, that's why.
No, the phrase is those who can't. The phrase means that those who can't do certain things, they teach it to others. And that doesn't. That's just mine. That doesn't even make any sense. Those who can't teach. That is how.
That would be going on.
Those who teach do it better than those who do
it.
Yeah, that went so many different ways, but I get it now. Okay.
Ms. Bogart.
Again, I have to say thank you, Bert. Thank Dorian. Thank Tim. He's in the background somewhere. That's my BP. I couldn't do it without him. Felicia, Jukobie again, and all the other amazing, outstanding teachers. And hopefully, Bert, when you come down, we can all mask up and meet up at the hotel and still go live. I'm strongly encouraging the other teachers to come out and speak. It's at their discretion, though. But again, this means so much to us. And as Jukobie said, thank you. Be True Awareness Outreach Inc. and Tim Sherrod LLC. We do so much to educate, empower, and elevate our community about what's going on. Thank you, Dorian, for talking about trauma, because people are like, well, where does Be True and teachers fit in here? As a survivor of domestic violence, as a kid who went to school dealing with trauma because I watched my parents fight at nighttime and then I have to go to school, I wasn't focused. But it was my teachers that helped me get through a day. And they were white teachers, black teachers. Again, it's not color for me. It's about the passion and the dedication. And then I matriculated on, and Felicia touched on it, the power of potential. We are
LC.
both graduates of LC.
Yeah, they're right, LC.
Lane College, to the Historical Black University in Jackson, Tennessee. I love my HBCU. I'm not here to sell anything, but I also graduated from UT Knox as well, so a diverse background. But with everything in life, if you're not true to yourself, you can't be true to others. And that's being a teacher. If you cannot be true about out here, what you're putting in our children's heads, their minds, their souls. Like Felicia said, when you give a dog a plate with food on it, they eat it, you know, and our kids have lost it. I remember when I was growing up, I was hungry for education. And I think, you know, when you have to work hard for stuff, you truly appreciate it. And that's why I am where I am today. And would be true, we focus on a lot. We are educating people from the ages of 4 all the way to death. So if you 99 or 101 and you come out to one of our seminars, whether it's a free seminar or it's a workshop where it's a fee, remember everything you do support victims of domestic violence. And with victims, there come kids, little kids, and victims aren't just female. There are males as well. And remember, hurt people hurt people. One of you all kind of alluded to that. So Be True is out here doing what you call a curriculum called HEALTH, and it's a healthier, independent living plan. I apologize. Some of you all didn't see earlier, but on this end, we can see each other. I was out riding a bike while they've been on this podcast. So multitasking and just trying to be healthy and changing lifestyles. And once we can change the lifestyle, that means we've changed our mindset. Once we can change our mindset, that means we can change this world that we're living in that is, I don't know where it is right now. It's not in a good place. It's not in a safe place. And this is going to be traumatic for a lot of individuals. My profession is I'm a certified life coach as well as a social worker. And so I work with individuals that are faced with trauma every day. And the people I work with are from birth to age 24. And I cannot do it alone without individuals like the teachers on this panel today, as well as the other awardees of the ABC Apple Award. And like I said, you know, this is still open because of COVID. We want to make sure our teachers who feel like they need to be acknowledged, please go to www.beetru.org. Self-nominate if you need to. Sometimes you have to toot your own horn. As long as you want to come to Memphis, Tennessee, May 8, 2021, in your best attire, it's an event you will not want to miss. My VP business partner, Tim Sherrod, he is the king of elegance. We've done so much here in Memphis. We brought plays to Memphis. We do our annual Easter egg hunt. We do Christmas caroling with the homeless or the less fortunate. So Be True is a grassroots organization, but I promise you we are doing big things, and we're going to make sure we continue to acknowledge individuals like Bert and other individuals, educators, and other people who are assisting with our future. I like how Felicia said it. It's a cliche, but like Whitney Houston said it best, the children are our future, and we have to teach them well so that they can lead the way. So we gotta all work together. And one thing about Be True is going back to the basics, and we gotta be a village again. As I always say, I'm the Queen Bee. I'm Sherry Bogart. We always tell people, do not allow anyone to move your crown. You are a king and you are a queen. So please act like it. Peace. I love you.
Thank y'all so much once again for being on Mississippi Vibes with Bert. I hope we can continue to network together and do things to bring awareness to any and everything that has a negative effect on, you know, our culture. So I hope to see y'all again, talk to y'all again. You know, reach out. Let's stay in touch. You know, Mr. Russell, I need to pick your mind. Ms. Anderson, I love your passion. Ms. Webb, I know it's there. You be holding it back. I'm gonna get it at you. I'm gonna bring it at you now.
I'm gonna have it at that hotel with us when we meet up, Bert.
Right. But thank y'all.
I want to add one more thing really quick. I have to send a special shout out. I always say village. And when I was going through my abuse, Jukobie Russell was one of the guys who was there assisting me. So I have to say thank you, Jukobie, for being a part of my support system.
Good job, Jukobie.
You know, I got you.
All right, man. We go talk again. We'll get back together, and you know, I will make sure I see everybody next year, May 20th. 2021.
20th.
May
Hey,
8th.
hey,
May 8th. I'm
Uh-oh.
sorry.
May
You know
8th,
my
May
mind.
2021.
8th.
It's
2021
okay.
at 7 o'clock in your best attire. We're giving out trophies. We're going to make sure these teachers have a night of their life. And those who don't join us this year or next year, you got the year after that and the year after that. Tim Joyce now is going to make this a long-term event. We just need you all to come out and recognize that it's time for you to be recognized. There's people out here who's working to make sure you get that platform that you need. And you have that special night.
Thank y'all
Thank you.
so much.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Y'all
All
have a
right.
Good
blessed night. Y'all be good.